YouTubeski, what it do-ski? We back once again.
What is up, y'all? We are back and we have an update for... We've been following this case for a long time now, I feel like. And now, they have finally made a decision in Norway.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
And we'll just get into it. Mm-hmm. The lawsuit with Norway versus Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yikes. So if you guys... remember correctly, if I remember correctly.
It's been going on for a while.
Right. So Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway went at it because they were basically saying, okay, you guys are affecting the psychology of children, and they ended up taking away their state subsidies, which recognized them as like a religious group in Norway. Mm-hmm. They weren't getting that paper anymore, okay?
That's what it comes down to.
It really does come down to that. So what ended up happening is the state denied it, 2 times, I believe, and they kept having to extend the trial or whatever, and Jehovah's Witnesses took it to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. And tried to appeal it.
Mm-hmm. And they did appeal it.
They did, and this is the behind the scenes thing. As a Jehovah's Witness, right, mm-hmm. you believe in this new light, mm-hmm. and that toward the end we're going to have more changes because Jehovah's going to give us more understanding.
Right. Which
sounds fine and dandy, but Jehovah's Witnesses don't know about these court dates.
Right.
And they have no clue that the reason behind a lot of these changes is not because God is talking to these groups of men in New York and saying, you know what, change that, and now I'm enlightening you on this. No, in reality, they are getting hit in the pockets.
Yeah.
It's a business. The last thing that any business wants is profit loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So after the last court date, whenever the state denied them subsidy again, Jehovah's Witnesses lost the trial against Norway, and they knew they were going to appeal, right? So what happened? What happened recently?
I think it got covered. Right?
So now all of a sudden we have these new rules with Jehovah's Witnesses on new rules, right? Where you're allowed to talk to disfellowshipped people. You don't call them disfellowshipped anymore. Now they call them removed.
Yep.
So the big question, did all of these efforts work? Did they get their subsidies back? And in short, yes, they did. Yeah. All right, so we're just going to show you guys the article that we found, and it's by CNE. We'll put the screenshots in. But basically it says, in 2021, the state decided to withdraw the registration of witnesses because of psychological violence against minors. This implied that the state would no longer pay the religious group. In Norway, all registered religions are entitled to a certain amount of money per member. For the 12,000 witnesses, this is about 1.3 million euros a year. After the deregistration, the JWs did not only lose the money, but they also could not marry their own people. Young couples from JW community had to go to another church to get married or were forced to choose a completely secular marriage. This is super interesting because I actually did not even know that.
Me either.
I didn't know that they weren't able to marry if, marry their people if they were deregistered as a religious group.
Me either.
That was very
That's
interesting.
something new to know.
Mm-hmm.
Even like the young people being forced to go elsewhere. They was like, oh, we need to fix this today.
That's a problem.
You're not even supposed to go to a funeral inside the church.
No. So now they have to go and seek out different kinds of arrangements. That's wild for witnesses. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I wanted to just see real quick is how much this amounts to like per person. So 1.3 million euros a year for 12,000 witnesses that Norway has. It literally amounts to like 108 euros per member per year. That's like nothing.
It's not, and even 12,000 witnesses in Norway, like that's, you think about over here how it was on average 4,000 at the Nutter Center that I was at for the convention for every session.
Right.
4,000 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then somebody else's group was the next week. So it's like they hold on to the scraps. Like we need whatever we can get.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, well, that's why they need to preach their message far and wide because it only costs $100 per member.
We need that. That's
Right.
how they look at it.
Okay, so moving on. The witnesses appealed to the Oslo court against the state's decision. 1 year ago, the court affirmed the government's decision, but the Court of Appeal has decided otherwise. The 3 judges in the Court of Appeal were unanimous. The state has not decided whether to appeal. The only option to appeal is at the Supreme Court. The core issue in the case is the disciplining of baptized members of the witnesses who are still underage according to national law. In the JW community, children are getting baptized at the age 14, 15. However, suppose they change their lifestyle after their baptism or withdraw their JW membership. In that case, they are subject to discipline from the church. Now, they bring out something very interesting later on, and it was about the judge's decision on it. Obviously, they can still appeal. The state can appeal if they want to, but I mean, I don't know if they will. I guess we're just gonna have to track it and see if they're gonna make that decision. But now with all of the new JW information out there, it looks like they don't treat their ex-members a certain type of way.
Which is something we talked about before, is the actual things they put on paper versus the culture is not the same thing. And you could look at somebody who's never been a Jehovah's Witness and it's like, okay, that doesn't sound that bad, but when you experience it, it's completely different. Like, for instance, we talk about the college thing. They may not put on paper, do not go to college, this is bad. Right? So somebody may be like, well, Jehovah's Witnesses can go to college. It doesn't say not to, but if you go from high school to, I'm thinking about going to Ohio State University. How are you about to be looked at versus you don't want to be a pioneer? Oh, there's worldly people, bad association. Like, that's the culture of it. And it's just easy to trick the courts when it comes to this type of stuff.
Absolutely. Like, what is it that they're putting on actual printed paper versus what it is that they're talking about on their weekly talks?
Right. And who in the court system would infiltrate Jehovah's Witnesses to know what the culture is like? And then I have my theory, depending on if their government is anything like it is over here, you can buy your way into some stuff over here. I'm not saying it's like that over there. We'll just have to wait and see how this turns out. Or if it's like a stand-up government and they may be like, no, we're not approving of this, we appealing it. We just have to wait and see.
So even if when we scroll down it says, in practice, said the state in the courthouse, means that people are not really free to leave the group, which would be against the freedom of religion. But the Court of Appeal rejected this argument. Technically, leaving the group was no problem at all. A simple letter was sufficient. Even the rules from the witnesses themselves say that the shunning should not be so radical if household members are involved.
We know the real answer to that.
Man,
Listen, so they make it as simple as, no, you're free to leave. All you have to do is write a letter. How does that sound in court? Okay, well, it sounds like you're not holding them hostage or nothing. No, so you have, let's say, a son. He has 4 siblings. A mom that's a pioneer, a dad that's an elder. The aunts and uncles are all, part of it. The grandparents are in it. And this person writes a letter saying, I no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Is he free to leave?
I mean, technically he's free to leave, of course, but
he's not free of consequences.
Of course not.
Or shunning. The hard shunning has not gone anywhere because according to Jehovah's Witnesses rules, being disfellowshipped and disassociating has the same results. We're not supposed to talk to you no more. You turned your back on Jehovah. Right?
So this basically ended in Jehovah's Witnesses being able to receive their back pay, which amounts to 1.3 million euros annually since they stopped it in, I believe it was 2021, I can't remember, and 734,000 euros for court costs.
That is ridiculous.
It happened. We were like excited, like, okay, finally somebody is seeing the true problems within this religion, and of course Jehovah's Witnesses went and posted it on jw.org, like, this is a win, we couldn't do it without Jehovah God.
And this is funny what the chief editor said about Jehovah's Witnesses. So we'll quote it. He said they were the most despised religious group in Norway.
And precisely for that reason, he writes in a comment that they were an easy prey for the state, that they have few or no friends among the Norwegian public. And what's more is that they don't vote in elections, so politicians who pass laws against the Jehovah's Witnesses run no risk of losing even one vote, because they're supposed to be in the world, not of the world, or whatever. So they're not supposed to be voting in different kind of political situations or anything like that. And here's the thing, the public will look at Jehovah's Witnesses and believe that, what's the problem? Like, everybody has freedom of choice, freedom of religion, freedom of this and that. And that's true, you do, but so do the people who decide to leave.
True, but people don't understand that how in-depth this cult is with shunning people.
Yes, and depending how many generations in, all of that.
You become the outsider. So wrapping this up, even like them saying that they are the most hated in Norway, I wonder if it's truth to that, because over here they always taught us that we are the most hated, and we had that persona that the whole world hates us. And it's people that don't even know
what they're about, what Jehovah's Witnesses are about, what the practices are. They don't know anything. They just know that they're people who come and knock on your door.
That's
and
all
that
they know.
sometimes you hide from them.
That's it. But other than that, they have no clue
They don't know
what your beliefs are until you explain it. And it's like, oh, they do that? Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
I remember people asking what we were going to DC for, and I'm like, oh, we're talking about ABC and the way that they operate. And they're like, wait, Jehovah's Witnesses do all that? Because people don't know.
You don't know.
They're not going to hate something that they know nothing about.
Why would you?
Yeah. Jehovah's Witnesses are irrelevant to the world. To society. It's hard to understand as a witness, but nobody is paying attention to witnesses. Nobody is planning on kicking in basement doors to hurt. That's not reality.
Yes, this just is another point of everything is a matter of what your perception is and what world you're involved in. So we have this perception because we were once of that kind of world, of Jehovah's Witnesses. So we know it like the back of our hands kind of thing.
Right.
But if you never had a perception of Jehovah's Witness and you meet one, there's no reason to not like that person or their beliefs or anything, because you know nothing about it.
No, if anything, a lot of people might be like, that person's different. But
that's it.
That's
about
as
far as it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, you came and knocked on my door before.
Yeah, that's it. But let us know what y'all think. Y'all think they're gonna beat it?
Y'all think they're gonna appeal?
What do y'all think?
They haven't even come to that decision yet if the state is gonna appeal or not.
No, not yet. We'll find out probably before the year over, I think.
We'll see.
Let's see. Let us know what y'all think. Hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truths IG. Don't forget our TikTok at Awaken Truths LLC.
We have our healing journals, the regular edition as well as the PMO edition. Thank you for everybody who has gotten a copy and have sent us really nice comments about you guys enjoying it. And don't forget to catch us in our next one. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Peace.